No, that's all right. So this is simply energy. There's just energy happening. There's nothing making the energy happen. There's nothing in charge of the energy. There's not a higher authority that's making energy happening and directing it. There's just energy. There's just aliveness. There's just what is. This is what is. This is everything. It doesn't need to be the universe or Africa or anything else. This is all there is. This is all there is. It's always like that. Wherever you go, wherever you think or dream that you've been, there's only ever been what is, all there is. So it's energy that's boundless. It's immeasurable. It can't be known. This message can't be known. This message isn't anyone's message. This is not a Tony Parsons message. There's no Tony Parsons. This isn't owned by anyone. It comes straight out of no thing. And it's about the freedom and immeasurability of energy. And the reality that energy can be anything. Energy can appear as anything. It appears here as a room with bodies and chairs and floors and lights. It's just aliveness. There's no one in it. There's an idea that there's someone in it, but there's actually no one in it. It's completely impersonal, without cause, without relationship, without anything that can be understood. But energy can also be anything. It can appear, it is appearing as everything. Energy appears as everything that there is that's imagined. And so it can also appear as an apparent contraction of itself. It can appear as apparently an energy that contracts into a bundle of energy in the human body called separation. So energy can appear suddenly in this body as an energy of separation. And suddenly when that happens, usually at a very early age, a sudden contraction into something called an identity happens. So what arises is what we call self-consciousness. Suddenly there's a self. I'm here. Me is here. Me is suddenly here as a contracted energy, and it grows in the body and becomes the individual, the adult individual, learns how to work it, how to live in the world, And so me is born, I is born, the self is born. But there actually isn't anybody. There isn't an identity. It's simply energy appearing as a contracted sense of identity. And so directly that happens, directly that seems to happen. What happens directly that separation arises is a story begins. Time seems to happen, and the story begins, the story of me. Now is the story of me, and the child grows up into an adult, and that's a story. And that energy is held in this contracted state, and it's separate from everything else. So everything that this me, this identity, this individual, this person experiences seems to be separate to it. Everything is separate. So it doesn't see a tree or the sky or another person as they really are. It sees them as an object that is separate from me. So it's a subject-object reality, and it's artificial. It's not real. It's artificial. It's illusory. It's like a dream. I would like to call it the hypnotic dream of me. But for the me, it seems absolutely real. I know I am a person, and I know I'm in the world, and I know that this is a story of me, and I also am absolutely certain that I can change that story. I can make that story a better story, because I have free will and choice. I have free will and choice. I can do that or that. And I can make my story better. I can. And so in this story, in this me energy, in the story, there's now a dream of this person that can make their lives better. And that's how most people live in that dream world. And that dream world is horizontal. It's going round in a circle. Like on a train. Or like in those motor cars in fairs where you think you're steering the car around in a circle in the fair. You think you're driving the car around, but actually you're not. It's just being driven around. But you really believe you can do it. You believe you are driving. You're in control. And you go round in this horizontal journey. And this journey can only happen in time. The me only exists in story. Story is me is story. Take one away and the other one collapses, because they're both the same thing. And so in the story, what's happening to me is experiences. There's an experience of waking up, cleaning teeth, having breakfast, going to work. And it goes round and round. So the whole of the apparent lifetime of the individual, there's a story happening of separate experiences, all happening one after the other. It's on the move. The me is constantly on the move, having this experience, that. This is the only way it exists, by continually moving forward. And sometimes life is satisfying and sometimes it's not. That's the way it seems. But there's a sense that you can make it better. But the other thing that is happening that most people would not recognise is this sense of separation is very dissatisfying. It's uncomfortable. Most people live in a sense of subtle discomfort, because no one experiences life as it really is. Everyone experiences life as separate from it. Everything is over there as a part, somewhere else. Everything is another object. I'm the subject, that's the object. I'm something, the tree is something. And that brings with it a sense of dissatisfaction. There's something missing. And so people look for what is missing. Some people, not everyone, but some people look for something that's missing through Christianity, Buddhism, or learning about something called enlightenment, because enlightenment sounds like it could be the answer. So I'm going to learn how to become enlightened. This is all about making my story better. Making money is alright, and having lots of lovers is even better. But maybe there's something even better than that, enlightenment. I want to find enlightenment, so I'm going to, because I can learn, I have free will and I have choice. I'm going to choose to become enlightened. But the awful dilemma is that I, the me, is moving round on a wheel, going round on a wheel, moving round horizontally on a wheel. And it's time, it's in time, it's happening, it can only happen in time. But what the actual seeker longs for is the timeless. What that which lives on the horizontal longs for is the vertical. And it can never ever find that. It never will find that because its whole existence is dependent on its movement forward. And what it's looking for is something absolutely beyond it. And so what we're showing together here is a totally different possibility. We're showing together something absolutely radical and revolutionary, and yet this message has always been around, always. If you say that there's the history of seeking, let's say there is, then this message has always been available, but it's only been available to that which is ready to go beyond the self. The self only lives in a self-seeking world, looking for a better story for me. This is beyond the self. This is the end of the self. This is the end. This is the end of the seeker. This is the end of me. You come here to die. But not that may or may not happen. But it won't be the body that dies. What can die, what can be lost is me. And when me suddenly collapses, this imagined dream me, which is in an inconstant state that comes and goes, when that suddenly collapses, there's nothing left. It's the end of the story. There is no story. There is no dream. There is no hope. There's nothing left. And when there's nothing left, then suddenly there is everything. When there's nothing left, there is suddenly an in loveness with what is this energy we started talking about at the beginning, or this thing here did, started talking about at the beginning. All that's left is the energy of beingness, is the energy of aliveness, and that's all there is here. You don't have to go and find it somewhere else because it's here. It's the loudest sound in this room. What you look for has never left you. What you look for has never gone away because it is this, it is what is. So we can share ideas together, and at a certain level there can be a dropping away of the imagined dream of me, the ideas that surround that. But separation is not just an idea or thought or belief. It's something that's held in the body. It becomes embodied, the sense of being separate. So the most powerful thing that can happen when there's a togetherness in this adventure, what can happen is that energetically the contracted sense of being in a body, of being separate in here, can suddenly melt into the whole. It depends whose funeral.
do you function in the world?
So nobody functions in the world. The me is an imagined dream energy. But what the problem is that the me then convinces itself that it makes choices and functions in the world. Actually, what functions in the world is the neurology of that, the physiology of that functions, and doesn't need me at all, but creates an artificial me to protect itself, the brain, from what it sees as a separate world. So the me is there under false pretenses. The me is there on the assumption that the world is separate and isn't needed at all. The me lives in a separate world. So when the me collapses, functioning goes on, obviously, because there's no me needed to drive a car or eat spaghetti. Eating spaghetti and driving cars simply happens naturally. You don't need anybody to work that out. The false assumption for me is that it has some control and is managing director of what's happening. It isn't at all. It's an artificial piece of software that's been added, which is utterly and completely useless. If you know anything, if you ever discover anything about the physiology of that, you will be amazed to discover that there is no such thing as free will and choice. There's no such thing as me. It's a make-up. Neuroscientists have now established that. So functioning just happens. This functions. And very naturally, of course, because it doesn't have me sitting on its shoulder telling it how to stand or talk or eat spaghetti. It's for the first time you eat spaghetti in total freedom.
Are the things that are happening to somebody reflective of the conditioning in the body?
There is conditioning on the body which the brain adjusts to and responds to, and then what the structure, when there's a me, the brain takes on the situation that's happening. You know, a situation is happening, and the brain measures all of that and has a committee meeting. I'm really. And I mean, this is all over, and you can't even measure how quickly this happens. But the brain works out the situation and decides to take certain action. Okay. So let's say somebody comes up to you and asks you if you like tea or coffee. Okay. The brain goes, and then it calls you in and says you're going to have coffee, and you go out to the world and say I'd like a coffee, and you really believe that you've decided to do it, but actually it's already decided. Usually about 3 or 4 seconds before you even know. But the only thing is you aren't needed to go and announce that you need a cup of coffee. When there's no me, the voice just says I'll have coffee or tea. So all of that functioning, all of that response simply comes out of no-thing in the end, because the brain is no-thing braining. And the me is just an added piece of unnecessary software.
Can the outer circumstances change the patterns of the outer circumstances? Can they change?
The brain will adjust and change the circumstances. It will adjust its response. It's continually doing. In this room at the moment, the brain is continually measuring everything that's happening and creating the response that people think they are making to this situation. It's wonderful. It's amazing. There isn't anyone in this room. There's just what's happening. And that's coming out of this physiology. But there can be adjustment. It's continually, well, it's not continually changing, but it's changing quite a lot, depending on what seems to be happening. Oh, sure.
Did you just say that everything is coming out of your physiology?
Well, everything comes out of nothing, but the physiology is nothing physiology. Like, everything that appears is no thing appearing as the brain, the physiology, the neurology. Everything is that. It's just an appearance. It seems to be real, but it's just real and nothing. It's an apparent story. Is there another mic or?
In this example you told about choosing tea or coffee, when there's no me, is there still thought occurring, I choose?
No, there's just choose.
There's just
apparent choice. Everything is only apparent. So apparently coffee is chosen, or tea.
So
but nobody's doing it. It's coming out of nothing. This is coming out of nothing right now. This voice is coming out of nothing. Actually, that voice is coming out of nothing, but it thinks, it may think, let's presume, it thinks that it's coming out of me. Me is a filter that thinks it's asking a question.
So in your case, there's no thought, I'm going to say this.
There's no
thought that...
Yeah, thoughts happen, but not for anyone anymore.
But I mean, is the thought like, I do this and that?
Well, not really. I do use the word I. There is no I. There's only an apparent I. But thoughts, when the me collapses and there's nothing left but life, then thoughts also arise and feelings. In fact, everything is unbridled and naked and passionately full. So feelings are full on. There's nothing filtering them out. There's just life full on. It's unashamedly life full on. So pain is more pain than it was before. Pleasure is more pleasure than it was, but for no one.
Thank you.
This is the natural reality.
Okay. Can you say, or can we say that we are here in this room doing this just because there is joy in the universe?
No.
So just joy to overcome the individuality, or?
You could say that, but I don't think joy is running this. There isn't anything running this. There's just life, aliveness. All there is aliveness, and joy can arise in that. But there isn't something out there joyfully doing this. There isn't anything out there doing this. There isn't anything out there.
Why it is happening?
Why not? There's no answer to that, and that which asks the question is the seeker. Why is this happening? Why am I separate? When the seeking energy suddenly collapses, there's no why. There's nothing to ask why, because it's all fulfilled, it's all complete. Why would there be anything asking why? It's only the seeker that wants to know why. So the seeker rushes off to find out why, and creates stories about God or Buddha or whatever you like, or stories about how you can get to the answer why. You never ever will, but there are stories about how you can get there. Meditation, self-inquiry. You will find the answer. You will never find the answer there, because there is no answer, and there is no you. what you are looking for. This. This is what you're. It's this.
Tony, you said without the me there are feelings and thoughts, and feelings are, for instance, pain is much more pain and joy is much more joy.
Well, it's complete, it's what it is, nothing stops it.
Yeah. And how is it for this Tony, if are much pain?
No, there's no story.
Huh?
There's no story.
There's no story, but how
liberation is the sudden liberation from the imprisonment of apparently being in a separate story. It's the end of story. There's no time, there's no past, there's no future. All there is this.
And if,
what is.
And if there is, for instance, much more pain than if I am a person, is it hard to handle?
No, there isn't anybody handling it. There isn't anybody dealing with anything anymore. There isn't something that's separate from the pain that now has to deal with it. There's just pain.
Okay.
Aspirin might be taken, or a splint, or whatever. Those things happen. But there isn't anybody that has to deal with the actual pain. There just is the pain. Like with thinking, all the time there's a me. The me takes delivery of the thinking, takes it on, is aware of it, and then takes notice of that thinking and gets locked into the thought and gives the thought energy. The thought arises, the me believes it, and then there's a ring of energy that's formed. It's like the CD. He doesn't love me anymore. And that goes on. So that's what happens in the unnatural reality of separation. Because there's something that's separate that's receiving the thought. After liberation, thought arises, but there's no one listening.
Okay.
So thought arises, and because there's no one listening, it simply falls back from where it came, nothing.
And if this Tony Parsons feels pain, there's no problem on it.
Well, there isn't a Tony Parsons anymore, so there isn't anything that would have a problem with the pain, but there is pain.
Okay.
It's the same as that there. That whatever's happening there is just happening. It's not happening to anyone. But what's been added there on, let's say there, I'm presuming, what's been added on is something that thinks what is happening to them. Like at the moment, there's that the me is sitting on. There are me's in this room sitting on a chair. So sitting on a chair is happening to me. That's the story. I know I'm sitting on a chair. I'm aware that I'm sitting on a chair. It's happening. So somewhere the texture and the weight of sitting on a chair is separate from this thing that knows it's sitting on a chair. When that thing that thinks it knows it's sitting on a chair is no more, all that's left is sitting on a chair. Now that, to somebody who thinks they want to become enlightened and float up into the clouds in a miasma of pink fireworks, this is really boring. What's amazing about sitting on a chair? Well, when you're not there, give me a ring. Because it's absolutely stunning. It's stunning.
But even in
sorrow still can
Yeah.
happen, depression still
Yeah.
can happen.
But not too anymore.
Let's say
there's something missing there.
bad feelings can happen.
Yeah,
Can
there's
arise.
something gone now. There's something that isn't there. Me.
Yeah.
But it just happens in space. It just happens in freedom, in free fall. Anything can happen in that. But not it's to a local thing anymore. There's nothing local. There's just what is. It's freedom. It's called freedom. F-R-E. It's wild. It's wild. It can't be imagined. The me can't get this. The me won't recognise this. The me can hear about this thing about sitting on the chair, and it thinks, well, what's that? Is that a great achievement?
When this liberation is seen, or however I call this, does it mean that
It isn't seen.
experience?
There's nothing, no, it isn't seen experience. There's nothing left.
Or nothing's left, but would from that point on, would life change then, or does life go
It
on?
doesn't need to, it's perfect.
By assuming
It was
that,
only before, just before, that it wasn't perfect.
yeah. But
Just before, when the me was there, it wasn't perfect. When the me collapses, whee!
But assume as long as the me was there, it was probably the whole life.
Oh.
The whole life was determined by
Deep
the seeker,
misery.
by the me.
Yeah, deep
And-
misery.
And if this now falls away, well, would I still, whatever, working at the company and whatever, seeking every quarter to whatever grow market share and so on? Does it still make sense to continue this, or would it change somehow?
I didn't hear much of that. Life seems to be there and would appear to carry on. Of course it doesn't. There isn't anything carrying on. It just is what there is. There is only what is. But there's nothing now that is separate from what is. So there's total in-loveness for now.
Was there a change for you when it happened?
No, it didn't change for me. I died. There's no one left. You're only pretending to be there. This pretense has dropped away. You can't know this. It's unimaginable. Don't even try.